Microwave passive components. In this lecture, mainly three-port passive networks devices will be discussed, and those are mainly circulators and T-junctions devices, and corresponding S matrix also will be discussed in this lecture. In my previous lectures, we have seen that waveguides are generally being used to deliver power or to carry power through a state path and finally can deliver to a particular load. In general, while we are dealing with the practical microwave network circuit, we may require the power to be delivered to some different loads. So therefore we need the power dividers. There will be a main source and the power from the main source will be divided and finally be delivered to different loads within the network. Similarly, we need power couplers. So powers from different sources will be coupled and finally will go through another particular channel, and that channel may deliver the power to a particular load. So therefore, such kind of devices can be designed either by 3-port networks or 4-port networks. So here in this lecture we will see mainly the 3-port networks, and we will first analyze the 3-port networks based on the reciprocal, lossless and matched load. Eventually we will see that no network can support these three properties simultaneously. Therefore, relaxing each of these properties, we may get a different devices in operations. Let's see. The scattering matrix for a 3-port network can be represented as shown in this slide. Here, the total component of the scattering matrix will be 9. In addition to this, if we assume that our device is a reciprocal ones, that means it is, if we consider that no anisotropic materials are being used to make these um, 3-port networks, then we can assume that the network is reciprocal, and we know from the properties of S matrix that a reciprocal network means the off diagonal components will be equals, which means the transpose of the S matrix will be equals to the original S matrix. In addition to the reciprocity, if we assume the all ports of these networks are matched, that means port 1, port 3 and port 4, they all are matched, and matched load means no reflection can be observed. Therefore, the diagonal components, principal diagonal components will be 0, because S11, S22 and S33, all these three components basically represent the reflection from that particular port. And since all ports are matched, so no reflection, therefore these principal diagonal elements will be 0. The last one is the lossless network, and from the property of S matrix we have derived the properties of this lossless network. That means the this represents the power of the kth port when the excitation is at ith port. So if this ith port and this j is equal to I, then only the summation of all kth port will be 1. Since the network is lossless, that represents the total power incident on port at port I will be distributed to all other ports. That means k starting for k from k equals to 1 to n, and the summation of all these ports will be equals to 1. All this power will be equals to 1 because no power are going to be consumed by the network itself. So that is why the summation of the power to all kth port when you are exciting ith port, the summation of all power will be equals to 1. Otherwise, they will be 0. So these three parameters we have, these three properties we have studied in my earlier lecture. Now let's see that can I design a 3-port networks which should have these three properties, or the network can a particular network 3-port network satisfy these properties simultaneously. Let's see. So this is the property of lossless network, and from this property we can write this one. So here S11 and S11 conjugate plus S21 conjugate plus S31 S31 conjugate. Look at here, when I am considering the port 1, I am considering the excitation is at port 1. Port 2, when I am considering the excitation is at port 1. Port 3, when I am considering the excitation is at port 1. So when you are exciting through port 1 and you are measuring the power from port 1, port 2 and port 3, power from port 1 while you are exciting the port 1 itself, which represents this the reflected power. Similarly, when you are observing the power at port 2, you you are observing the power which gets delivered to port 2. Similarly for port 3. So the summation of all such power when you are exciting the port 1 must be equals to 1, because your network is lossless. But when you are considering the port 1, but along with that excitation is you are considering both port 1 and port 2, then in a similar consideration, when you are considering port 1, port 2, port 3, but the excitation you are considering port 2 and 1, here also 2 and 1 and 2 and 1, so such kind of power will be 0. So in a similar way, I can represent the power for all ports when the excitation is at port 2 and port 3. So these corresponding power will be 1 and all other combinations will be 0. And from here, as our network, we know that it is reciprocal as well as principal diagonal components are 0 because they are matched, so no reflection. So putting these conditions into here, into these conditions, and in these equations we are having this one. So power in port 1 when you are exciting this port 2 plus power in port 1 when you are exciting port 3 is equals to 1. See, but corresponding this term will be 0. That, and these two conditions we are having due to this lossless property of the network. Similarly, these other two equations from the left hand side and the right hand side will result this one. Now, from these three equations, we can say that in order to make these three equations 0, at least two components of the S matrix out of these total three components must be 0. But if these two components are 0, then these conditions actually, or this conclusion contradicts with this set of equations, because if we consider S23 and S12 are 0, because if S23 is 0 for S13 not equals to 0, similarly S12 will be 0 for S13 not equals to 0. So if S13 not equals to 0, so there will be S23 and S12 both will be equals to 0. Similarly, for each uh, elements, by considering not equals to 0, there will be two elements, they must be 0. So if for the first case, where I am considering is 1 2 and 2 3 are 0, so if you are considering is 1 2 and 2 3 are 0, so their summation cannot be is equals to 1. So these conditions are contradictory. Similarly, for each other uh, combinations, we will see that all three equations are actually contradicts with the equations what I have obtained on the right hand side. Therefore, the conclusion is that these three conditions, the reciprocity, all matched load, and the lossless conditions, these three conditions cannot be satisfied simultaneously by three-port networks. However, by relaxing these conditions, we can design physically realizable devices. So first of all, what I am going to consider that network is non-reciprocal. That means off-diagonal components are not equals to each other. So we will see eventually that this condition is going to uh, describe a property of a circulator. So there will be the S matrix, corresponding to S matrix will be this one here, as I have assumed the network is fully matched, three ports are matched, but they are not reciprocal. So therefore S12 not equals to S21, similarly S13 not equals to S31, and the S23 not equals to S32. but their principal diagonal elements will be 0 because matched load, due to the matched load there will be no reflections from here, and the network is also lossless. So since the network is lossless, these conditions hold. Here also this condition should hold. So these 6 conditions can be satisfied in 2 ways. First one is that either you can consider that S12, S23 and S31 these are 0 in order to meet these conditions, that these 3 equations are 0. But when these 3 are 0, from this equation we are having S21 which is equals to 1, and S32 is equals to 1, and S13 is equals to 1. Either you can have this condition, or so this condition means basically the signal flows from S12, so S1 to 2, S2 to 3, S2 to 3, and 3 to 1. So signal is flowing in a clockwise direction. But from this condition we can see that S12 is equals to 0. So S12 means 2 1. So from 2 to 1 no signal or no voltage cannot propagate from port 2 to port 1. Similarly port 3 to port 2, port 3 to port 2 cannot propagate, and port 3 to 1 cannot propagate also. From 1 to 3, from 1 to 3 cannot propagate also, because port 3 1 is equals to 0. So which means the propagations along the opposite direction, that is the anti-clockwise direction, is not possible, whereas these conditions tells that the propagation along the clockwise direction is possible. So this basically describes the clockwise circulator, which has the S matrix like this, where we can just put these conditions, that is 1 2, 2 3 and 3 1 are 0, but is 2 1, 3 2 and 1 3 are 1. So this is the S matrix of a clockwise circulator. So other than this condition, there will be another condition when you will consider S32, S21 and S13 is equals to 0. So S13, S32 and S21 is equals to 0. So which means the circulation is not possible along this direction. However, by considering this, we can get from this side, that is 1 2 which is equals to 1, S23 which is equals to 1, and S31 is equals to 1. So S12 means S2 to 1, when signal flows from S2 to 1, so when it is propagating from 2 to 1. Similarly for 3 to for 3 is port 3 to 2, port 3 to port 2, and port 1 to port 3, port 1 to port 3. So it describes a counterclockwise circulator, so which has the corresponding S matrix as I have shown in this slide also. Next, we relax the conditions, the matched conditions. That means right now I'm going to consider that only two ports are matched. The port 1 and port 2 are matched. So the corresponding scattering matrix will be this one, where since port 1 and port 2 are matched, so no reflections can be observed from port 1 and port 2. However, port 3 is not matched, so there can be a reflected wave that can be observed from port 3. So that is why S33 present in this expression. As the network is a lossless network, so these conditions are resulting, where these last conditions I'm getting due to the presence of this S33. Now from these two conditions where this S12 presents, so we can easily write that S13 is equals to S23. But from this condition we can see that S13 and S23 will be equals to 0. So if we consider that S13 is equals to 0, so S23 also will be 0, because in order to satisfy this one. So therefore these conditions what I just got, it states that when you are exciting port 3, we cannot have the output power either port 1 or from port 2, because this S13 and S23 is equals to 0 in order to satisfy that the S13 is equals to S23. So therefore, we can assume the three-port network, uh, which can be seen as this port 1 and port 2, and here is the port 3. So when you are exciting the port 3, the entire uh, excitation wave gets reflected back from the port 3, and nothing is delivered to either port 1 or port 2. However, when you are exciting port 1, that is also being not coupled with the port 3. That means nothing is going to port 3, and you only can have the output from port 2. So basically such kind of devices are nothing but, you can say that it is the output signal or output the wave from the port 2 is gaining some phase, because it is just translating from port 1 and port 2. So the entire power gets delivered to the port 2, what is being incident at port 1. The corresponding S matrix is this one here. This is the S11 as 0, S12 when you are exciting the port 2 and the entire power gets delivered. So S12 and S21, this will be 0, because uh, these are reciprocal I am considering. Reciprocal, but they are not matched. The unmatched port is port 3. So therefore, when you are exciting port 2, the power gets delivered to port 1, or you are exciting port 1, the power gets delivered to port 2. So basically, the propagating wave is acquiring some phase. That phase is denoted as the theta, and it is associated with the propagation constant through this waveguide times the distance between this port 1 and the port 2, the distance between the reference plane of this port 1 and port 2. But when you are exciting the port 3, the entire power gets reflected back by traversing or by acquiring some phase. That phase is phi when you are measuring the incident wave and the reflected wave with respect to some reference plane at port 3. So with respect to that reference plane, the incident wave with zero phase when traversed or the full path and reflected back to the reference plane, it acquires some phase phi. So nothing gets coupled to port 1 and port 2. The most popular three-port networks which are being used in case of microwave engineering are the T junctions. T junctions are of two types. One is the E-plane T junctions, another one is a H-plane T junction. T junctions are generally used as a power divider. But the device what I have discussed in my last slide, that is also a T junction, but that is not that cannot be used as a power divider, because we have seen due to that unmatched condition at port 3 gets completely decoupled from port 1 and port 2. So no power uh, was being delivered to port 3 when you are exciting the port 1 as well as port 2. So you can name the device either as a phase shifter or something else, but that is not at all a power divider. Here I am going to discuss the T junctions as a power divider. So before going to discuss that, let's understand a few properties of the E-plane T junctions and the H-plane T junctions. So first one is the E-plane T junction. So this is a three-port networks, and in general these port is considered as the main port or the input port. And in case of E-plane T junctions, you can see that electric fields are in general appears as the perpendicular to the walls of the waveguide. So this is one waveguide, this is another waveguide, and this one is another waveguide. So the input which is available at port 3, that input power will be divided and will be available from port 1 and port 2, while their corresponding electric field will be perpendicular to the walls of the waveguide. You can see from here. But one major difference is that they are perpendicular, but when they enter in port 1 and port 2, the phase of the wave are being opposite to each other. You can see the arrows in the port 1 is directed along the upward directions, while those along in the port 2 are directed in a downward direction. So that these represents the phase of the wave which is available from port 1 and port 2 are opposite in phase. So when you are using these E-plane T junctions as a power divider, the power will be divided in equal magnitudes. So that can be, we generally call it as a 3D power divider. But the phase of these available waves from port 1 and port 2 will be opposite to each other. Similarly, when you use these T junctions, E-plane T junctions as a power combiner or power coupler, then when you are exciting this port 1 and port 2 and you are expecting some power from port 3, so the waveguide associated with the port 3 basically delivers the power which is a subtracted version of the power available in port 1 and port 2. So therefore, when you are exciting this port 1 and port 2 with wave having same phase, then the power what you will get from port 3 is 0, because as this waveguide delivers the power which is a subtracted version of this power available in port 1 and port 2. Next one is the H-plane T junctions. So in case of H-plane T junctions, similar to the E-plane one, the magnetic fields are perpendicular to the walls of the guide. So since the magnetic fields are perpendicular, the electric fields will be tangential to the walls of the guides. So these dots represents the electric fields which are basically tangential to the walls of this guide. So this dot represents the electric fields are towards you. And in this port 1 and port 2, these waves are in same phase. We can see, because if they would be opposite in phase, so this dot will be replaced by a cross to represent that the electric fields are directing into the page. But it is not the case here. All in port 1 and port 2, all dots are appearing uh, towards you, which represents the electric fields are same phase. So when you are exciting the port 3 and you are expecting some power from port 1 and the port 2, you will get that power, and the magnitude of the power will be half of the power available in the port 3 or the guide associated with the port 3, and the phase of the waves will be in phase. The port 1 wave in the port 1 and port 2 will be in phase. And when you are using this H plane as a power coupler, then this guide associated with the port 3 basically delivers the power of the summation of the power of port 1 and port 2. So if you excite the port 1 and port 2 with wave having opposite in phase, so definitely you are going to get zero power, or you are going to get wave having zero power at port 3, because they represents the summation of the power from port 1 and port 2, so they will cancel, since and you are exciting these two ports with opposite phase, so they will be cancelled each other within this port. So let's consider the first one is the lossless divider. The last case, the unmatched T junctions, what I have considered, in that case I have considered only one port that was unmatched, that is the port 3. But in this case, we will see that port 1 and port 2, these two ports are unmatched. But port 3, this is the matched conditions. So let's see. So in order to describe this lossless power divider, I am assuming, or I am modeling this T junction as a corresponding transmission line. So this is one transmission line. This is another transmission line associated with the Z1. This transmission line Z associated with the Z2. Z2 means port 2, and Z1 means the guide associated with the port 1, and this one is the guide associated with the port 3. Now, as you are exciting this port, that is the port 3, and there exists a discontinuity at this junction, so due to presence of the discontinuity, some of the energy gets stored across this junction. So therefore, that stored energy can be represented as a lumped susceptance. So that is why I have represented as the imaginary term, that is JB. Now, as I told, these two ports I'm going to consider as unmatched, but one port will be matched. So this is the Z0 is the characteristic impedance of this guide, and Z1 is the characteristic impedance of this guide, and Z2 is the characteristic impedance of this guide. So since Zin is the input impedance when you are looking from this guide, and the corresponding admittance I have represented over here as Yn. So since this port is a matched one, so this impedance, the admittance Yn must be equals to this inverse of the its characteristic impedance, and this Yin, which is associated with the input impedance also, must be equals to this susceptance plus 1 by Z1 plus 1 by Z2. But in for lossless case, we know that Z0 must be real, because as the network is lossless, so entire power will be delivered to the load. Therefore, the load is the only one which consumes the power. So the characteristic impedance must be real, because this one is the matched one, and you are going to match this waveguide by an impedance equals to its characteristic impedance. So therefore that one will be the real one. However, in order to avoid these susceptance term, we generally use some reactive tuning element that can cancel this susceptance term, at least for a narrow frequency range. So by considering that narrow frequency range for which the susceptance term is 0, we can write the Zin is equals to 1 by Z1 plus 1 by Z2, which represents these characteristic impedance Z0 is nothing but the parallel combination of the characteristic impedance of these two other guides. And similarly, since we expect that Yin is equals to 1 by Z0 and Yin corresponding to the input impedance must be matched with the characteristic impedance. So the input impedance is equals to the characteristic impedance, and this characteristic impedance, in order to be matched, must be the parallel combination of these Z0 and Z2. But when you are looking from the Z0, the impedance that being observed will be the parallel combination of the Z0 and Z2. Similarly, when you are observing from this guide, so the impedance that will be experienced is the parallel combination of the Z0 and Z1, and these two impedances are not going to be matched. Let's see. And the Z1 and Z2 can be adjusted to divide the power in different way. That means either it is the easiest way to get the equal power from these two guide, but however, by adjusting these Z1 and Z2 differently, you can have different divisions of this power as well. Let's take an example. Here, as the statement said, that a lossless T-junction power divider has a source impedance of 50 ohm. So source impedance of 50 ohm means the characteristic impedance of the source waveguide is 50 ohm. Find the output characteristics impedance so that the output power are in 2:1 ratio. So you can consider this is the output power will be uh, 2/3 through this Z1 and 1/3 through this Z2, or 1/3 to the Z1 and 2/3 to the Z2. So that makes this 2:1 power ratio. Along with that, compute the reflection coefficient looking into the output ports. As I told, when you look from this port, these two output ports, the impedance are not matched. So that means when you will excite this port, either Z1 and Z2, definitely you are going to expect some reflected wave, and that reflection coefficients we have to calculate over here. So first, I'm assuming the voltage across the junction is V0. Therefore, the input power to this divider will be what? This is the simple expression of this power due to the presence of the voltage across the junctions, and where the Z0 is which is the characteristic impedance as well as the source impedance as stated by this problem. Now the power P1 associated with the uh, divider 1 and P2 associated with this divider 2. So from the condition that is 2:1 power, so I'm assuming this 1/3 power is being delivered in port 1 and 2/3 in port 2. So 1/3 of input power and 2/3 of the input power. So finally, equating this P1 with this one and P2 with this one, I'm having the Z1, which is the characteristic impedance of the port 1, or the guide associated with the port 1 is 150 ohm, and similarly Z2 I'm having 75 ohm. And as we expect, the input impedance looking from the input terminal must be the parallel combination of the Z1 and Z2. So therefore the input impedance what we are having, that is 50 ohm if we take the parallel combination of 150 and 75 ohm. And as the characteristic impedance of the source or the input guide is 50 ohm, so it is matched with the load itself. So load is the parallel combination of the Z1 and Z2, and that is also 50 ohm. That is why this guide is matched. But when you are looking from the Z1, the impedance being observed or being seen from the Z1 is the parallel combination of Z0 and Z2, and that is 30 ohm. But since the Z1 I have obtained 150 ohm, so and the parallel combinations which is actually the load to the Z1 when you are exciting through the Z1, so these characteristic impedance and the load impedance are not matched. Similarly, when you are looking from Z2, the load is appearing 37.5 ohm. So that is also is not matched because the characteristic impedance of Z2 or this guide 2 is 75 ohm. And this is the general expression for the reflection coefficient. So 30 ohm, for when I'm considering the Z1, I have obtained the 30 ohm as the load and 150 ohm as the characteristic impedance. So their difference divided by their summation is the reflection coefficient, and that is I'm having this 0.666. So 66.6% of the incident wave gets reflected back if you excite this port, that is the port 1, and when you excite this port 2, 33.3% of the incident wave will be reflected back. So from here what I have obtained, I have just designed an unmatched T junction where these two ports are not matched. So when I had designed all the T junction with only one port unmatched, that is the port 3, we have seen that the port 3 gets completely decoupled from port 1 and port 2. But when you have made a T junction with two of its port unmatched, having one of its port is matched, so we can have a divider, power divider, and where the power can be divided equally or differently uh, depending upon the Z1 and Z2. So in this way we can design a T junction power divider for lossless network. The next case I will consider the T junction power divider for the lossy network. The lossy T junctions are generally called the resistive divider. So as I'm relaxing the condition of lossless and I'm considering the lossy T junction, so therefore I can make these T junctions to be matched for all of its three ports. So this Z0 divided by 3, this resistance is placed in order to represent that network is itself lossy because this impedance or this resistance consumes some of the power. So that is why it represents the lossy network. Now when you are looking from this terminal means from the junctions, and since each of these guides um, are now have the characteristic impedance equals to Z0, so this equivalent impedance Z when you are looking from this terminal can be written as Z0 divided by 3 plus Z0, because this is Z0 divided by 3 when you are looking from this plus this Z0, which is the characteristic impedance of this guide, will appear across this. So Z0 divided by 3 plus Z0. So that will make 4 times Z0 divided by 3. This is the equivalent impedance for each of this guide. Now the input impedance when you are looking from this terminal is Z0 divided by 3. That means the lossy impedance for the input guide plus the parallel combination of these two guide. So since right now these two guide has equal impedance, that is equals to 4 times Z0 divided by 3, their parallel combination will be half of this one. So the total input impedance that will be seen looking from this terminal is equals to Z0 divided by 3 plus the Z by 2, which is equal to Z0 divided by 3 plus 2 Z0 by 3 is equals to Z0. So look at here. So the characteristic impedance is Z0 and the input impedance when you are looking from this one is Z0. So this input impedance is just being seen after this terminal. So you can assume that input impedance is appearing across this terminal, or equivalently you can say that this guide gets terminated having an impedance that is equals to Zin, and that Zin is equals to Z0, means this guide is terminated with its own characteristic impedance. That means it is the matched one, so no reflections can be observed. Similarly, when you will observe from this one, this guide, that equivalent impedance also will appear Z0. Similarly, when you will observe from this one, the equivalent impedance will be Z0. So right now all of three guides are terminated with its corresponding matched load, because the load is itself is equals to its own characteristic impedance. Therefore, we can easily write that the reflection coefficient S11, S22 and S33 must be is equals to 0. Now the other S matrices, other element of the S matrix. So V1, we can V, this voltage which is appearing across these junctions, will be the derived one from the input voltage V1, because this is the input guide, and by using simple voltage divider rule we can easily find out what is V, because the load is appearing across these is nothing but Z by 2, because this is a parallel combination of these two. So Z by 2, you are applying V1 over here, and Z0 divided by 3 impedance is exists over here. So apply simple voltage divider rule in order to get V. So V will be V1 times Z by 2 divided by Z by 2 plus Z0 by divided by 3. So that results is 2 divided by 3 times V1. V2 and V3, this V2 and V3 will be same because they are reciprocal one, and so V2 and V3 will be can be derived from this voltage available at this junction. So this V2 and V3 will be V times Z0. Z0 is appearing across this terminal, that is across which this V0 and V3 V3 is appearing. So Z0 divided by Z0 plus Z0 divided by 3, and that that is appearing 1 divided by 2 times V1. So therefore S11, S31 and S23 will be 1 by 2, and if you consider this one, P1 is the power, and power obviously will be can be written as 1 by 2 times V1 square divided by Z0. So P2 and P3 will be 1 by 1 divided by 4 times P1. You can easily derive this one, and this is the corresponding S matrix for this one, where the diagonal elements are 0, principal diagonal elements are 0 in order to represent no reflections, and from this expression S21, S31 and S23, these are half. So this half gets multiplied with this all over all terms.